Yo, what is going on, guys? It is your boy Atan. Welcome back to another video, guys. And in today's video, we're gonna be doing the MPL Philippines Season 18 Team Power Rankings, guys. I know I haven't uploaded in quite some time. I believe my last video was last week ago, talking about the Team Liquid team. Um, I was gonna make an individual analysis on every single team, but I just decided to just do a tier list because that would be way more easier and way more effective there. Therefore, I can cover every single team, give you my quick opinions. This video isn't going to be super long. I'm not going to go super into detail on like average lineup rating. I'm just going to tell you who I think will be S tier, who I think will make MA, who I think will not make playoffs, and who I think will struggle this season. This season is very competitive. I do think this season is going to be very top heavy. I think the top four are going to be quite clear. I don't. Whereas I feel like in previous MPLs it was a bit more competitive. I think now that the World Championship is around the corner, not literally because it's still August, that happens in January. But for these players, preparation is everything. So yeah, let's kick things off with AP Bren. AP Bren's new lineup is Jane Pinkman, James Panks, Lancey Shizu, and Escalera. AP Bren don't have a bad team, but I just think that they don't have a bad team, right? But I'm gonna put them in no playoffs. Listen, I think these teams that are rebuilding and whatnot, it's very difficult once you rebuild to compete with the top teams because there's gonna be lack of synergy. There's gonna be so many just you're going to be at a disadvantage in pretty much every single position. You have to constantly worry about what your teammates are going to do. Is he going to do that? Is he going to do this? Whereas the other teams are already used to playing with each other. I don't think AP Bren is like, I don't think there's any bad teams in Philippines, but I just think that the bottom tier teams cannot compete with the top tier teams. Like, I think if they played 10 times, they would maybe win once or twice, maybe twice if they're lucky, if the enemy team is, if the top teams are underperformed. But for AP Brand, it's not that their players are bad. It's just that this team doesn't have enough, like, they don't have enough power. They don't have enough, like, players that can win you games. In order to be competitive in a league like Philippines, in order to be at the top, you need to be able to have players that can single handedly take over games. And for AP Brand, it's just James Panks and friends. Like, unfortunately, that's the reality of the situation. And AP Brand, I'm predicting them to not make playoffs. They're definitely going to be making changes, and James Panks is not staying here. Like next year in 2027, we might see James on a top tier team. If some of the top tier teams underperform, I can easily see James go in there and being a jungler. So I think for the most part, AP Brand, they're not making playoffs. I just don't really. The lineup is not bad, but I don't really trust the process. I think it's going to be pretty much 1v5s every single game. Next, go on to Aurora Gaming, my team. Aurora, where should I rank Aurora? I'm just going to put them there temporarily before the Aurora fans crash out. Don't worry, they're not. Definitely, they're making playoffs. Aurora is interesting because I was very skeptical about the Nats transfer. Now, I think Coyle is going to be very good. I've heard good things about him. I know he's an assassin player, so he fits this meta better than Demon Kite. But for Nats, as Mirko said, I don't know if you guys saw Mirko's power ranking, but he pretty much said that Nats is really good, but he doesn't know how good he is on enablers. Nats is more of like a damage dealing carry XP type of XP. He's kind of like Cram in a way and Sanford, more so Sanford, where they're not as efficient on these styles of XP lane. But I think I just have so much confidence. I think this team's gonna be so good. I mean, it's strong side goal lane meta. It's more artillery, long range, mid lane. There's more like set in tanks now with the Atlas and the Belric, which Light was already picking those heroes last season when they weren't meta and they were working at times. So I think Aurora is going to be very good. I'm going to put them in S tier. I have a lot of confidence. It might be biased because I'm a fan of the team and I want them to do well. This is my favorite team in the Philippines by far. Um, I really hope they can make it to another world championship. It would be so cool if this team makes three world championships in a row. They've never not made a world championship ever since they became a team in the MPL Philippines. And the funny thing about Aurora is that they pretty much like, bro, this team was experimented so much last season to the point where it was like a detriment. Like they barely made playoffs and then they had to play Onic first round of playoffs and they barely lost. they're not going to make the same mistake. They know what's on the. There's much more pressure now. Now you have to perform. You made two roster changes. Edward isn't there anymore. Shout out Edward, by the way. Go XP. DMK is in there. Shout out DMK. One of the most underrated junglers ever. Like DMK is so disrespected. It's crazy. Wishing him nothing but the best on RQ over in Indonesia. But yeah, I think Aurora is our first S tier team. Next up, we have Omega. Some of these teams I'm not gonna be talking about too much, guys. I don't really care about this team. Like I think Omega is their B tier team. I think they will make playoffs just because there's another team that is worse. But actually, no. You know what? No, I'm not gonna do that. I was gonna put them in no playoffs to make it spicy, but I just this team is actually not that bad. They have Perks, Lewis, Ryzen, Mingwin, and Kale. This team is not as bad as some of the other teams on paper. Like this team is genuinely decent. I think Omega got top four last season, and they kept three of their players. So they kind of know what it feels like to win. I don't think they're gonna make top four again. I think that was kind of like a one. That was kind of a once in a lifetime thing for Omega, just because Aurora underperformed and some other teams underperformed. TNC was terrible last season when they were supposed to be good. So I think people overrate Omega's top four finish, and they were nowhere near the level of the top three teams. So I think this season is going to be similar. I think Omega is going to be in that 6 to 4 spot. I can see them getting top four, but I can never see them making it to like the top three. I think that they can beat anybody in the Philippines, but I don't think they can consistently get to the top. They don't have bad players. They have better players than AP Brand. You know, if they play Aurora, I can see them taking a game off of them because Aurora are relatively they have new players. You know, maybe they catch them off guard one game, but I just don't think I don't think these bottom tier teams are going to be able to beat the top teams consistently. So yeah. Next up, we have Onic Philippines, which is going to go into the S tier. Onic Philippines has been apparently dominating Instagram. People talk about Onic Philippines like they're just back to M6 form. Every single power ranking, every single video, everything about MPO Philippines season 18. I just see that Onic is back, and it makes sense. This meta, if there's one team in the world that this meta suits the best, it is Onic Philippines. I mean, guys, how did they win M6? It's the same fucking meta. Assassin, high artillery mages, enabler XPs. That's where Kirk excels at. Kirk is not good on the damage XPs. That's why he wasn't that good for a very long time. That's why a lot of people wanted him out. But now that it's back to enablers XP, Kirk is actually going to be very, very good, very efficient. I think that Super Friends is going to love this meta. Severo is the only like question mark because Severo is used to weak side, but now that is strong side. And then Brusco or Super Yoshi, both of them are good. No matter who plays, Brusco having personal problems or health problems, I'm not sure what's going on with him. But like, even if he comes to the lineup, he's also really, really good at these metas. So yeah, I think Onyx Philippines, out of respect, I'm gonna put Aurora at the top of S tier just because I have bias and I want to look smart. Like, can you imagine if Aurora wins MPL and then wins M8, and then I'm gonna look like a genius for putting them here. So yeah, I'm gonna put Aurora there. But Onyx is an S tier team. They're incredible. I can definitely see them winning the championship. I definitely think there's a high chance that both these teams in the S tier make it to M8. Let's go on to Falcons. Oh boy, I can't put every team in S tier, but that's what I'm gonna do. That's what I'm gonna do, bro. I think Falcons is an S tier team. I just said that both these teams can make M8. I think Falcons can also make M8, right? Like the top four is super competitive. Obviously, Falcons, one of the greatest teams ever, should have made MSC final. Like it, the only problem with me, the only concern I have with the Falcons is that sometimes they're too in over their head. Sometimes they make decisions that they don't need to make. They overextend. They do certain plays that you shouldn't do, right? The caliber of these players is world class. They have world class players in every single role. Some of the best players in the history of Mobile Legends are in this team. They're so used to winning. They're always making it far internationally. That's something that people don't really understand how insane it is. Like Falcons' track record is crazy. Every single time Falcons makes internationals, they do perform well. MSC 2024, whether it's Games of the Future, whether it's Snapdragon, whether it's the World Championship, they always perform. Even at MSC, bro, they made the semifinal. they barely lost to YG, and they lost because of their own mistakes. So to me, I'm always gonna have faith in this team that they're gonna do well. I would put this team top two just because they were good internationally. I think they're not gonna make the same mistakes as they did beforehand. I can see Falcons winning it. I can see Falcons winning it all. They have a very consistent team. They might be the most consistent team this season because I don't think they're gonna fall off too much to the point where they can't make it to the top two, to the top three. And they also have the track record. They made the final last season and then they made it to the semifinal of this most recent international. The games of the future, I think they got destroyed by like Aurora, Turkey. But I don't really put too much weight on games of the future, guys. I think especially right after an international, a lot of these teams just don't really care. So yeah. But Falcons to me, here's what I'll do. I think Falcons, I'm gonna put them above Onic just because I think Falcons has is a bit more established right now. Onyx still has to prove because they made roster changes. Um, and I think Aurora, if Aurora played Onyx like 10 times, I think Aurora would win most of the time. So yeah, I'm gonna put it like that. And then Team Liquid Philippines, I'm gonna put them in A tier. This meta isn't the best for Team Liquid. Carl TZ has struggled a lot in this meta. Um, I think Team Liquid is gonna be really, really good. I don't get me wrong, this team can still win MPL Philippines. They can still make it to the World Championship, but I just don't think this team can win a championship in this current meta. It's also very difficult to four-peat. Everything has to come to an end. I think Team Liquid is a really good team, but I don't think they're gonna be able to like it's weird because like they should be number one because they're the defending champions of the Philippines. But like I think there's too many question marks, there's too many concerns for me to put them in S tier. Like I think the meta suits the other teams better. I think like Coil is probably better than Carl TZ at Assassins right now. Like Nats and Sanford are similar. They're both not the best at this type of XP, but the thing is, UA is so good at this style. I think Dome Kite is better than Teddy. Like if you go team by team, the other teams in S tier have way more like cons. Whereas like I feel like Team Liquid has a lot of question marks. Um, I still think they're going to be really, 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 really good. They're definitely a top four team. I don't see a world where Team Liquid doesn't not make the top four. So yeah, I'm gonna put them in B tier, but I still respect Team Liquid a lot. Um, but yeah, you can make arguments for us. All these teams are relative to each other. They can all beat each other. That's the beauty of Philippines. The top four is always competitive. TNC, I'm gonna put TNC in. Fuck it, I'm gonna put them in B tier. A lot of people would put this team in no playoffs because they don't have experience. But fuck it, we need an upset. There's always a team that overperforms. And I think that's gonna be TNC. TNC is a good team, bro. TNC is a very, very good team. I can see the potential. I was watching, I believe it was Ranmar, and he said that he thinks he might even believe that TNC can make the final. Now, I don't know about all that. I think the final is kind of crazy, especially with a team that has a lot of inexperienced players. But I think teams that know they don't have the budget, teams that know that a lot of players won't go to their team as a number one option, should build around talent and young talent. I think most teams do this, but TNC they have good coaching staffs. They have good coaches. As Zaida, I've always respected Zaida. I think he's good. Ryota, he wasn't too bad on Onic last on his stint with Onic. Vin Jones, I don't know any of the, I only know Zaida and Ryota, guys. I'm not gonna lie. I don't know the rest. I don't know who the fuck these players are. I'm not gonna lie. Um, but they're young, so I hope they can. The thing is, like, it's gonna be so hard for TNC to like actually make playoffs because a lot of these players are inexperienced, and also there's no way they're getting into the top four in the regular season. If TNC makes noise, it will be in the playoffs where you have multiple weeks off to really prepare for your opponent, so you can catch your opponent off by surprise, and they might improve drastically over the course of the season. But right now, I see the vision with TNC. I'm believing in TNC. I'm believing in the hype. Hopefully, they don't let me down, bro. Because I've been seeing a lot of hate on TNC, like, oh, eighth team secure. They're not making playoffs. Like this team is not shit. Like they're definitely gonna win a few games. Hopefully, this is a dark horse, but I would love for TNC is always the most interesting team because they're like the coolest team. Like the logo, the team logo, the merch, the Phoenix, like everything about TNC is so cool. So it just it needs to make sense for them to be good. Like last year, they were third, bro. Can they replicate that again? I don't know. I don't know. But yeah, last but not least, we have Twisted Minds. I have to put a team in no playoffs because there's only 8 teams. I'm gonna go with no playoffs. Listen, Twisted Minds. I don't hate you guys, but this like experiment with Benny Cutie is a really good team. Is a really good player. But I have to put a team in no playoffs. And I think there's always a team that underperforms and overperforms. I think TNC will be the team that overperforms and Twisted Minds will be the team that underperforms. Most people have Twisted Minds in B tier. Some people think they're gonna do really, really good. This meta does suit them, but I just don't really like I don't think this team can compete with the top four, right? I don't think they can. Benny Cutie, he's good, but Benny Cutie hasn't been good in quite some time, guys. So Lansus and Sui Sean, like these are solid players. Sean is really, really good. Tracy is solid. Like this team is good. Putting them in no playoffs is kind of crazy, but I can definitely see this happening, honestly. Um, yeah, I think I don't know if I should I put a team down in the S tier? But I don't know. I think it's good like this. I think it's good like that. I like the tier list. Um, I like the tier list, bro. Again, this is just for like what I think will happen in the regular season. Coming into the season more. It's more like coming into the season, whereas I think, for example, like Team Liquid is an A tier, but I can see Team Liquid finishing top two in the regular season. It's just coming into this season with like how they've performed in this meta so far, roster changes and all that stuff. I think this is the tier list. I think if I had to put a number one team, I'm gonna put Falcons. I'm gonna put Aurora first, Falcons second. I'm gonna do this actually. I'm gonna put Falcons, Aurora, and then Onic, and then Team Liquid, and then I'm gonna put Omega, TNC. I think AP Brand will be literally the last team, eighth place, and then Twisted Minds will make seventh. Like I think Twisted Minds can beat. I think Twisted Minds is better than TNC and Omega, but I just want to make things spicier. You know, it would be boring if I just put the quote unquote bad teams in no playoffs and didn't have any like hot takes. Like as I said before, Philippines, bro, anything happens in this league. That's why it's the most unpredictable. That's why it's the best league in the world. It's not the most competitive league because a lot of the times the top four teams are just way ahead of everybody else, but it is the best league. But yeah, make sure to leave a like, guys, subscribe. Let me know down in the comment section below. Who do you guys think is the best team coming into this season? Who do you guys think will be the two teams representing the Philippines at M8? If I had to make a quick prediction on that, I would say Falcons and Aurora. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Catch you guys in the next one.